The best conversations happen at happy hour. Welcome to Ours.
Welcome aboard.
This is the PT Pintcast. Here's your host, physical therapist, Jimmy McKay.
Hey, that's me, along with Katie Sutton of PTA Plus. We're doing a crossover episode. All right, our next guest, live from this APTA Future of Rehab Therapy Summit, spent over 3 decades in outpatient orthopedics and sports medicine, mentored the next generation of PTs while simultaneously steering strategy from the top of a rehabilitation department. These days, she's pulling triple duty, leading a statewide APTA chapter, sitting on academic advisory boards, and still pushing the envelope on how care is delivered, whether it's shifting policy, reshaping PT education, or speaking uncomfortable truths about the direction of our profession. I don't think we should lead off with that. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to the president of APTA Rhode Island and director of Rehab at Ortho Rhode Island, Tracy Gannon. Tracy, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me here. Appreciate it.
I want to start off with the uncomfortable stuff. I like that sort of thing.
Me too. Yeah.
Otherwise, if you don't bring up the uncomfortable stuff, nothing changes, right? So the uncomfortable thing, I don't know if it's that uncomfortable, but maybe it is. You believe PT education is setting us up for failure. What's that mean? I think a lot of people in this room would agree with you, too.
That's good.
Because nothing's perfect. Even the academics would say nothing is perfect. But why do you think PT education is setting us up for failure?
Because I think it's very similar to when it was many, many years ago when I was in PT, in the sense that education is focused on creating an entry-level clinician.
Okay.
And that's great, because that's what we need. But I think part of the reason why we are where we are today is because PTs, we want to help people, but we know nothing about the business of healthcare. And that's why we're in this predicament we're kind of in, where we're not really getting paid what we feel we deserve, and I feel we should deserve for what we do. And, you know, we're graduating therapists that really care about giving good care to people, which is wonderful. But 3, 4, 5 years later, they're really burnt out from doing it,
right,
because they're so devoted to giving good care, and then they're feeling that they're not getting rewarded for that, and they don't know how to do anything about that.
Right.
And I think it's unfair to us. We're not retaining one of our biggest problems right now is retention in our profession.
Leaky bucket, right?
Yeah.
We're leaking, and the ones we're leaking are the ones that we want to keep around the most. All right, so magic wand just popped up in front of you. What would you do to fix it? How would you change it?
I would talk about curriculum, one. Right? It has to be a part of the curriculum.
In PT school. In PTA school. Got it.
Number one, yeah. And then I would challenge any PT program to bring in your local practices, your local people giving care, people that are involved in leadership, doing the thing. How did people who started their own practice and what the struggle was with that, and what's a P&L sheet and all of those things. I became a director of rehab in our practice 4 years ago and looked at a P&L sheet for the first time in my life. And I've been a PT for 30-something years. So that's on me too, right? But that shouldn't be. And when you try to explain at the end of the year the economics of why someone might not be getting the compensation that they want, they really don't understand that, because they have no idea what goes on behind the scenes of that.
Yeah.
So I think it has to be in the curriculum. Like, what makes the world go wrong with economics, and it's particularly in healthcare, the challenges we have today.
Whether you're a solo PT or running multiple clinics, Empower EMR grows with you. It's flexible, cloud-based, and actually easy to use. See it in action at empoweremr.com. You treat the patient, a Thelis AI scribe does the rest. It listens, transcribes, and writes your notes, even with background noise or accents. Try it out. Email me for a quick walkthrough, Jimmy@ptpintcast.com. You've got a pretty interesting background in combo. So obviously clinician, but now in state leadership, right? Congrats, you're APTA Rhode Island president, and in private practice and doing the thing. How do those three roles complement each other? What are you able to learn from one and bring to the other? Like, what have you?
Yeah.
How has that little Venn diagram benefited you?
Very well.
Yeah.
Very well. Yeah. I've been kind of pushed, first tapped on the shoulder with APTA, and then pushed to become more involved in it. And it's been really great for me, because the networking, the opportunities, the things that I'm going to that I never really even recognized were out there, everything is a learning experience, and it all helps each other. Like, what I learned here at this conference today helps me lead our state and what's important to our state, but also helps me in my role as director in my practice and what we should be prioritizing and how we can get ahead with that. So they definitely complement each other very, very well. Yeah.
Love that. Katie, what do you got?
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about advocacy. You've worked in leadership and now in advocacy. How has your perspective changed since stepping into those different roles?
Yeah, advocacy, I never had any interest in politics and was a little bit fearful of it and just found it very annoying. But fortunately, I live in Rhode Island, so it's pretty easy to get involved. And advocacy is the most successful when you develop relationships with your local legislators and representatives. So Rhode Island is pretty easy, right? It's 45 minutes top to bottom in the state. Where I work, it's a 15-minute drive to the State House. We have a great little lobbyist group that helps us a lot. And I was able to we had 4 bills, trying to work through this year. And I was able to be at every Senate and House introduction committee meeting for that. So you're meeting people everywhere from that.
It's a powerful feeling, isn't it?
It's a powerful feeling, and you kind of feel like, at first it's like, oh, I don't belong in the room, the Hamilton song, right? But you do belong in the room. You get in the room, you're like, yeah, I can do this, I've got this, right? And I think it's amazing and interesting and then frustrating all at the same time, because you feel like, oh, I can make this make sense, we can do this, we can get this done, and then you see all the roadblocks that get in the way and what you have to do to make something happen. And that makes it more challenging. But I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought I was going to, and it really makes me more passionate about it and the biggest challenge is getting that passion in everybody who's in the profession to understand the importance of just doing that little bit to help contribute to it.
Well, I think something you said was key is that it's the politics. People look at advocacy and they're like, I don't want to deal with the government, I don't want to deal with politics, and there's this like ick that surrounds it. But when you get closer to that advocacy in our profession, you realize when you step into those rooms that you are the expert. This was something I learned super quick when I started to go to like advocacy days and things like that, was that the person I'm talking to may have no idea what physical therapy is. We are teaching them from the beginning top down. And so you're the expert, you go in, and that's why it's so important for us to show up there. You cannot assume that the person you're talking to has any idea what physical therapy is, or what we do, or what we need. Or what our patients need.
Exactly. And it is like they're at that grassroots level, and they need to hear from you, your expertise and your experiences. That's the thing. It's really important to have a certain stat they can hold on to, and then an anecdote that's really meaningful. And if you can hit those 2 points on anything you're trying to get through, then you're going to get traction on it. Like we used a simple one where we were talking about prior auth, that average physical therapist spends over 9 hours a week on documentation. 9 hours a week out of a 40-hour week, that's taken away from patient care. And when they hear that, they're like, wow, knowing that we have a shortage of therapists in our state or everywhere, and primary care physicians, they're like, wow, this is a big deal. We need to do something about this. So, yeah,
definitely. Yeah, so you mentioned business. I'm going to go back a little bit here. You mentioned business and PT programs. How do you think that would look for the physical therapist assistant curriculum? Maybe it's not the same type of business that goes into it, but what do you think maybe those differences would be, or similarities?
Well, I think when you think about business, there's business economics, but there's also business like leadership, management, communication, teamwork, things like that. I consider that part of what you learn in business school, right? And so I think those key skills are important for PTs and PTAs alike, right? And I know one of my biggest challenges, I have PTs and PTAs in our own practice, and when you have that super skilled, really dominant PTA that just can't afford to go back to school to be a PT or doesn't make it happen, and they're so challenged by a PT, a new grad PT that isn't hitting the mark yet, and they just get super frustrated with that, and learning like, hey, I need to have the leadership and communication skills to manage this situation better instead of getting frustrated in how to work with this person. So it's not truly business, but I think communication skills are a big part of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Start them early, right?
Yeah.
This is a multiple choice question, but not in the traditional sense. I'm going to give you one question, then you can answer it from Tracy, the person running an outpatient orthopedic practice, Tracy, the president of Rhode Island, or yourself as a clinician. So, either way, what do you mean by evolving how we deliver PT care? And I feel like it's a very generic question, but I wanted you to be able to answer it from multiple directions, being that you sort of sit at sort of a spot with multiple directions.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm going to be orthopedic dominant because
Right.
that's where I live primarily, but what we do now is not sustainable. I think we need to be creative with the recognition that people, so for instance, grocery shopping, right?
Okay.
Years ago, you go to the grocery store, you get what you want. Nowadays, I can order what I want on a website and they're going to deliver it to my front door, right? Now, I'm the kind of person, I want to pick out my own apples when I go to the store. I don't want someone else picking them out and dropping them out. But paper towels, you can drop them off at my door and I'm happy with that, right? So I think being creative in PT needs to keep up with the world, and being creative in how we deliver care is going to be super important, whether we're going direct to employer, whether we're doing hybrid remote care with in-person care, whether hybrid virtual and remote and in-person. I think just getting out of the rut of like, okay, I'm going to show up, I'm going to have 12 patients on my schedule today, I'm going to see them, and I'm going to go home. And I'm going to be upset that I'm not going to get paid for that, right? And another thing that hit home about that was sitting at a luncheon for the new Madam President of Rhode Island Senate. I was sat next to the Pipe Fitters Union 51, and they were thrilled. They just started with I'm not going to say the name, but like a completely virtual health PT option. And they thought it was the best thing ever because their guys aren't going to take time out of work to go to PT and aren't going to pay $75 copay to go to PT, right? Do I think they're getting as good care as they could get as coming in person? Definitely not. And I don't think they thought that either, but they recognized that this was a good thing because it was like, I can do something for my people, and if it's worse, I know what I can do with them after that. But it helps them engage and do something about ailments they're getting before they become serious, hopefully. I think we can do a better hybrid version of that, but to me, hearing like an average person, layman's impression of what PT was and being so impressed with that was like, okay, I need to tap into this and not just be annoyed with it.
So what'd you do? How did you respond? Did you keep a straight face? Like when you were sitting next to the pipe fitters? What'd you do tactically?
I mean, I tried to be like, well, first of all, I said, how many people have engaged in it?
Right. That is a big question that my co-hosts on a weekly live stream would ask. They have it. How many are actually using it? Right.
And he said, well, we've only had it for about 6 months, and it's only been about 10 people, and 2 of them are right here in the room, right? So I was like, well, that's something to take home about that maybe it's not as good as you think it is. But I more took it in and tried to, like, take what they were saying that they thought was great about it and be like, how could I pivot that into a better product myself?
Correct.
Right.
Like, so learning.
Right. And, I mean, something that we just had the nonlinear panel here today at the Future of Rehab Therapy Summit, and one of the biggest topics that came from that was that we're our own critic. We've kind of been telling ourselves for a long time, like, no, you can't do that thing that's outside of the box. Someone did the thing outside of the box, and now we're like, you can't do the thing outside the box.
Right.
So we need to, work together and find those creative solutions so we can come up with ways to fill those gaps.
Yeah.
It could look very different. Lots of different
but we can. I mean, PT is all about creative. How many times do we have to adapt with every patient we see and take this, well, this doesn't work for them, but I can do it this way. And we have creative minds. We just have to take them outside of our box.
Right. The delivery model.
The delivery model.
In session, in a treatment session, I don't think anybody's doubting the creativity of most therapists, right?
Yeah.
But is in this delivery model. I do a weekly segment called Steal This Strategy, where I take a look at a marketing strategy or a product strategy from Nike or anything out in the world, and I sort of say, oh, look at what they're doing. Why are they doing it? How is that going to work? And then I flip it and go, well, how might rehab professionals adopt that? And typically what I end each segment on is, if someone else were to open up and do this in your town, would you be mad that they did it, or more mad that you didn't do it first when it was sitting right there in front of you the whole time? Are you waiting for permission, authority? Are you waiting for someone else to pat you on the back and tell you how innovative you are? You'll be more mad that you didn't just take the opportunity, because now you're playing catch up.
100%. I always feel like I'm in a race too. When you get an idea and you see something, and you're like, oh, I want to make this happen, and I want it to happen now. And you got to get through all those obstacles to get there, because I get so afraid that someone else is going to do it first, right? But I don't think in our profession there's a lot of people that are thinking that way, and we need to have more of that. And I think it starts with school, where it's like, hey, here's what you're capable of, here's your expertise, but don't limit yourself with how you can deliver that.
Yeah.
I mean, every time you go to a party and you're a PT, someone's asking you how to fix them. And
Sure.
you could do it in 5 minutes right there. You could just say, hey, start with this, and you might get help. And I think even understanding the value of that people go to you for that, and you can deliver it at a party, right?
Listen, I'm going to say it again, but happy hour physical therapy, why are we shying away from, I know alcohol seems bad, but I'm not saying overdrink, but I'm saying, hey, listen, if you've got their attention, that's half the battle.
Exactly, yeah.
You became a physical therapist to help people, not to feel like just another number. At US Physical Therapy, we're 135 plus local brands, backed by one national support team. That means more opportunity and better resources while working for locally owned clinics in your backyard. Find your next role with a company that puts PTs first. Start today at usph.com.
Yeah, all right, so where do you see the biggest opportunities for specialization and interdisciplinary collaboration in physical therapy today?
Yeah, so I think I might ruffle a little feathers with this, but I think the rehab triad is great, but we're limiting ourselves by doing that. I think we need to be forming more relationships, real true relationships with the physicians, the primary care, the surgeon, whoever it is, everybody else in healthcare to help do what we can do. Like, how do we work together? Even say direct to employer, right? If you're a privately owned PT practice, form a relationship with a physician. Have that whole integration where it's like, okay, maybe they do need to go see an orthopedic surgeon at this point. I have the person you can go to. The same way a university, I work with a couple of universities with their athletes. They have a team of people for their athletes, right? They have a nutritionist, they have
on
a physician,
site, they understand.
They have everything they need to, mental health, all of it. We should look at it that way, like forming those relationships and not just be PT or PT and OT. Be the collaborative group we can be to, refer to each other and be successful in that way too.
I like it.
Great.
All right, we have a tradition on the show.
Okay.
We did not prepare you for this. It's okay. It's called the parting shot. Katie calls it the plus point on her show, PTA Plus.
Okay.
And really, it's just what's your mic drop moment, your soapbox statement. What's just the last idea or sentiment you'd want to leave with the audience as we wrap up?
I would say try to be a leader. Try to be a leader, because I think a lot of people don't want to do that, and I don't consider myself the most confident person all the time, but I try to come out and just do it. Like, just do it, because you do have a lot more to say, and you're capable of doing more than you think you can. Particularly therapists, we care for others. We want to see others be successful, but I think own yourself and what you know and be a leader.
Love that. If someone was going to reach out, what's the best way for them to find you?
Gannon at orthopedicsri.com.
All right, love it. Hey, thanks so much for doing this here at the APTA event, taking some time out. Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy.
This is the PT Pinecast.
Brooks IHL residency grads have a 93% board pass rate. That's good. Nearly 20% higher than the national average. Are you ready to level up and become a clinical expert? Take the next step at brooksihl.org. There aren't nearly enough podcasts in this world. Said no one. Why not launch one more? If you thought about launching a show but don't quite know how, we can help you do all that back-end stuff. Email me at jimmy@ptpinecast.com, and we can add one more podcast no one else will listen to the pile.